After 20 years in another world, the hero prepares for his final battle. But the final monster, a beast of immense power, still stands. It mocks him, pointing out that his companions, the Saintess, Mage, and Knight, are on their last legs. But hero Lee Hyun-seok simply notes the monster looks just as worn out. The final battle begins, a clash that shakes the very earth. Behind him, his party's defenses begin to shatter under the strain. Wreathed in a golden aura, Hyun-seok prepares to unleash his final move. He unleashes his signature technique, the Paradox Flame. The monster attacks with overwhelming force, but Hyun-seok expertly parries the blow. The beast scoffs, but the hero knows something it doesn't. A strange red energy erupts from the point of contact, spreading across the monster's body. The mysterious flame begins to consume the beast from the inside out. To its horror, the monster realizes its feigned regeneration has suddenly failed. Hyun-seok explains the nature of his power, a flame that burns not oxygen but abstract concepts. It's burning away the monster's very existence, ending its cycle of resurrection for good. With its final breath, the beast plays its last card, revealing his companions are only waiting for him to die. But to the monster's utter shock, Hyun-seok calmly replies that he already knew. As the Saintess pleads for him to ignore the monster's lies, he exposes her deepest secret. She has always despised him as an outsider. He asks if he's wrong, and her guilty silence is all the answer he needs. He knew the Knight planned to assassinate him on the Emperor's orders. He even knew the Mage hated him for threatening his profits from human experimentation. He coldly reveals he has been aware of their murderous intentions for 5 long years. The fading monster can't understand why he would save a world that betrayed him. With a weary sigh, Hyun-seok gives his simple reason: all he ever wanted was to go home. He remembers his life 20 years ago, back on Earth. He was just an ordinary office worker before a goddess ripped him from his world. From the moment he arrived, he learned there was only one path back: save this world. But he soon discovered the world's cruelty, where a rescued child was dismissed as a waste of medicine. The church was even worse, declaring survivors possessed and sentencing them to death. In this hell, compassion was a sin, and human rights were a fantasy. Now, with his mission complete, the Knight drops the act and confirms the betrayal. Hyun-seok finally admits just how much he truly despises this world and everyone in it. Ignoring his treacherous allies, he shouts to the heavens, demanding the goddess fulfill her promise. A divine light pierces the sky, answering his call. The goddess appears, congratulating him on his victory. But Hyun-seok has only one demand: to be sent back to Earth. She asks one last time if he'll truly have no regrets leaving his power behind. He drops his weapon, his decision absolute. With his wish granted, he prepares to leave the godforsaken world behind. But the goddess reveals a catch: his original body on Earth has long since perished. His soul will be placed in a new vessel, the body of someone fated for a wretched end. He doesn't care, no matter how harsh his new life is. It can't be worse than the hell he just escaped. He awakens in a modern bedroom, finally back on Earth in the year 2025. Staring at his much younger reflection, he comes to terms with his new body. The overwhelming reality of his return finally begins to sink in. After 20 years of filth, the simple luxury of clean, running water feels like a miracle. He stares in wonder at a food he hasn't seen in 2 decades: fried chicken. With tears in his eyes, he prepares to savor his first bite of freedom. Overwhelmed by the simple comforts he's missed so much, he weeps with joy. He truly believes he can finally live the normal, peaceful life he's dreamed of for 20 years. But his peace is shattered by a strange red pillar of light outside his window. He escaped one hell, only to find that his own world might have become another. After 20 years fighting for his life in another world, Hyun-seok was finally home. He savored his return to Earth, believing he'd left all its horrors far behind. But his peaceful reunion is cut short by a monstrous intruder. An emergency broadcast blares, warning of a corrosion rift, a term he has never heard before. Suddenly, his apartment is swarmed by a horde of grotesque, masked creatures, and they're breaking in. Reacting on instinct honed by 2 decades of survival, he flees for his life. He makes a desperate escape through a shattered window, barely shaking his pursuers. But as he catches his breath, he realizes he's not alone. He tries to warn the child, but the boy simply asks where the monsters went. With unnerving calm, the boy, Yoon-song, declares his intention to kill them. Hyun-seok is left speechless as the child explains that Earth has been like this for 13 years. He went through hell to return to a safe world, only to find it has become a hell of its own. When he tries to lie about his past, the boy immediately sees through it, proving just how much the world has changed. Yoon-song excitedly talks about Hunter's people who fight the monsters and his hero, the world's 10th ranked, Lee Se-yoon. He didn't escape the nightmare, he just landed in a brand new one. A young boy named Yoon-song is silenced by a stranger's hand. The man's demeanor shifts instantly, his instincts scream of approaching danger. From the shadows, a horde of grotesque monsters reveals itself. His only concern is the terrified boy, whose fantasy of being a hunter has just met a brutal reality. But then, he feels a familiar energy in the air, the same mana from the world he fought so hard to escape. Before the monsters can react, he unleashes a blast of invisible energy. Effortlessly gathering the ambient mana, he shields the boy while preparing his counterattack. He can still use the paradox flame engraved on his soul, and it's more than enough. The creatures are instantly reduced to ash, consumed by searing blue flames. But Yoon Song, remembering a tip from a hunter channel, recklessly runs to confirm the kills. The man's eyes widen in alarm, knowing the terrible secret of his own power. His flames don't extinguish until the target is truly annihilated, and one is still alive. In a flash, he intercepts the remnant's desperate lunge. Crushing its smoldering remains, he casually admits he has no idea what YouTube is. Needing a weapon, he turns to Yoon Song for the staff he's holding. In an instant, they are completely surrounded by a much larger pack. But where the boy sees a death sentence, the veteran sees just another fight. The simple wooden staff becomes a deadly blur, tearing through the horde with brutal efficiency. In a flurry of precise and powerful movements, he finishes off the last of them. Yoon Song is left utterly speechless, his mind reeling at the display of overwhelming skill. He stares at the blood-soaked floor, disgusted that even on Earth he cannot escape the stench of battle. He grimly concludes that this world is no different from the hell he fought so hard to leave. Just as they enter a larger chamber, Yoon Song's mother rushes to embrace him, thanking the stranger for his life. Suddenly, a monstrous fist smashes through the reinforced wall of the shelter. The wall gives way, revealing a colossal beast with a maw of razor-sharp teeth. As panic erupts, the man remains still, lamenting that all he ever wanted was a peaceful life. Looking at his battle-scarred hand, he wonders if that simple desire was asking for too much. He turns to Yoon Song and asks why a rich kid with every advantage would ever want to become a hunter. The boy somberly reveals that his own father died in a supposedly safe bunker, teaching him that nowhere is truly safe. With fierce determination, Yoon Song declares his dream to save the entire world. Moved by the boy's conviction, the man assures him he will become a great hunter. But he adds a stark reality check that he won't be the one to save the world. Yoon Song's eyes widen in disbelief at what the stranger does next. He cries out as he watches the man walk toward the very monster everyone else is fleeing. He turns back with a simple declaration, "Because I'm going to do it." After all, saving the world is a job for someone who's done it before. After a 20-year war in another world, I returned to Earth with a single promise, to save it. But the hero's life quickly lost its appeal. My grand ambition didn't last long against the comforts of modern life. But even a hero has to eat, and I was flat broke. Just as I was losing hope, an ad pointed me toward the only job I was qualified for. With my experience, becoming a hunter seemed like the only logical choice. At the Hunter Association, the other candidates were cocky, certain that just having a unique skill was enough to pass. But their arrogance vanished when a new figure arrived. Lee Se-yoon, the world's 10th-ranked hunter, had arrived, and the entire room fell silent. No one could understand why a top-tier hunter from the Janabi Guild was at a rookie selection. She was here to scout a single prospect, the Academy's prized graduate, Han Sung-ah. But Se-yoon was skeptical, unimpressed by Academy credentials alone. She knew that real combat was nothing like safe training. She watched the arena, challenging the rookies to prove they were worth her time. Suddenly, the announcer noticed something unprecedented. A candidate who wasn't from the Academy, a mere civilian armed with a metal pipe. My turn came, and I stepped into the arena under my new name, Yu-chan Seok. I reminded myself of my new mission, save this world, but also make a living. My opponent, an Academy Spearmaster, just smirked. He lunged, mocking my complete lack of mana. He unleashed a fiery attack, declaring himself the Academy's undefeated Spearmaster. But I tracked his clumsy movements with ease. His attack hit nothing but air. He was stunned. I had vanished from sight, but I was already behind him. He never saw the first punch coming. A second strike followed before he could even register the first. The so-called undefeated Spearmaster was out cold. I was genuinely shocked. If this was the average, then the hunters of this world were pathetic. From the stands, Lee Se-yoon was starting to pay attention. His file said he was a logistics worker with almost no mana. Her subordinate dismissed it as luck, but she saw the truth. I wasn't unable to use mana, I was choosing not to. To prove my point, I decided to end it decisively. With one final unconscious-inducing blow, the match was over. Se-yoon's eyes sharpened. This was getting interesting. She had seen enough from the sidelines. It was time to test this mysterious rookie for herself. I continued to breeze through the tournament, wondering what on earth they taught at the Hunter Academy. Among all these weaklings, I hoped for just one decent fight. Finally, I faced the Academy's top graduate, Han Sang-ah. I could tell immediately she was different from the others. She told me my luck had run out, but I just found her Academy-taught lines amusing. Her eyes blazed with power as she vowed not to go easy on me. Little did she know, I was the one holding back. The moment the fight began, she unleashed her electrical power. She launched a blade of pure lightning, confident in its speed. But for me, it was moving in slow motion. She couldn't believe it, dodging a lightning attack should be impossible. Her skills were impressive, but she was missing the most important part of a fight. Her technique was obvious, leaving a trail that any real fighter could read. When she tried a slower attack, I dodged again, calling her an idiot. Enraged, she pushed her power to its absolute limit. She was burning herself out, scraping together mana her body couldn't handle. It was impressive, but I decided to end it. But first I gave her a piece of advice. If it hurts, raise your left hand. Before she could process my words, I closed the distance. A final, decisive blow sent a shockwave through her body. She collapsed, utterly defeated. But as I turned away, I saw her move. Even in defeat, she remembered my words and raised her hand in surrender. I had to admit, she had guts. But the tournament wasn't over. The announcer had an urgent change of schedule. I was to have one more special match, against a currently active hunter. A new challenger entered the arena, her great sword scraping the floor. It was Lee Se-yoon, representing the elite Janabi Guild. She declared the rookie stage was too small for me and issued a direct challenge. I could feel the immense pressure radiating from her. This was a true professional. And I couldn't stop myself from smiling. Without hesitation, I accepted. I picked up a spear, feeling a familiar weight in my hands. Finally, a worthy opponent. It was time to show them my true value. The exhibition match begins, and Lee Se-yoon's first strike is a declaration of war. Yu-chan Seo grunts, barely managing to parry the impossibly heavy blow. He can't believe a woman's body can possess such overwhelming physical power. He sees her openings, but his body, weakened and exhausted, refuses to obey. After 30 grueling minutes, she taunts him, surprised he's even lasted this long. She raises her sword for the final blow, promising to end his struggle. With no mana and no options, Chan Seok is forced to unleash his forbidden trump card, the Paradox Flame. For the first time, Se-yoon's confident facade cracks. In a flash, he dodges an undodgeable attack, leaving only shattered earth behind. He lands gracefully, leaving a stunned Se-yoon to wonder what just happened. As a mysterious black flame envelops him, she demands to know what kind of power this is. He gives it a name, Paradox Flame. It is a power that defies reality itself, burning not matter, but abstract concepts as fuel. With a target concept chosen, he dashes forward to demonstrate his power. As he strikes, he declares the first thing he will burn away, his own fatigue. In an instant, his stamina is fully restored, leaving Se-yoon in disbelief. She feels the mana in the arena fluctuate wildly, realizing it's his doing. He reveals the secret burning concepts doesn't just erase them, it creates mana. He has created an endless, self-sustaining cycle of energy. Now on equal footing, he smirks, knowing his specialty is a war of attrition he can finally win. She hates guys who don't know when to give up. But the flame has a fatal flaw. A concept, once burned, leaves behind an unburnable ash. After 4 hours and 17 minutes, his body reaches its absolute breaking point. Utterly defeated, he can only beg for mercy. The announcer declares her the victor, but she seems more interested in her lollipop. Impressed by his tenacity, she offers him not just the candy, but a business card. Lee Se-yoon, a partner hunter from a company called Janabi. Later, after getting his new hunter license, Chan Seok ponders his future. But before he can decide, he's approached by an intimidatingly large man from another guild. Yoon Song-yeon of the Taebaek Guild makes him a direct offer to join their team, but the friendly offer quickly turns into a threat. His warning is clear: make the right choice, or else. The choice is easy for Chan Seok. He'll be skipping Taebaek. He decides to take Se-yoon up on her offer instead, meeting her at a nearby cafe. He tells her about the aggressive recruitment from Taebaek. She isn't surprised, explaining that Yoon Song-hyun's interest has scared off all other guilds. But then she drops a bombshell. She has no intention of recruiting him either. Instead, she explains the rigid hunter hierarchy, junior, senior, in the coveted partner rank. Partners are like owners, reaping the guild's profits, while everyone else is just a salaried employee. He realizes there's another path, becomes so strong as a freelancer that the guilds come begging for him. But as a newcomer with no connections, he knows getting worthwhile requests will be nearly impossible. With a knowing smile, Se-yoon offers to help him get his first jobs, completely free of charge. Her motive is simple, a long-term investment, ensuring he'll remember Janabi when he's at the top. To get him started, she slides a folder across the table, offering him his very first freelance mission, a patrol mission on Gyeodongdo Island, the site of a failed raid 2 years prior. He notes that for a potentially life-threatening job, the pay isn't exactly great. Her advice is blunt: get stronger, get famous, and the money will follow. Chan Seok takes a moment, weighing his first real choice as a hunter. Elsewhere, Seyun reports to her boss about the new recruit. She emphasizes that he lasted an incredible 4 hours against her, even while she held back. She declares that in all her life, she doubts she will ever encounter another monsters like him. The scene is set on Gyeodongdo Island, the location for Chan Seok's first test, but her boss is skeptical, worried that a rookie will be a liability to the veteran team. Seyun is confident, revealing she's already found him the perfect partner. Her boss poses one final intriguing question: what would Chan Seok be like if he ever reached her level? She considers the possibility for a moment, a smile creeping across her face. He wouldn't just be her equal, he'd be strong enough to take down the boss himself. 1 month ago, Yu Chan Seok received a special delivery, a custom-ordered weapon for an upcoming mission. Inside was a brand new spear, perfectly crafted for his unique fighting style. His preparations also included a rare elixir, a vial of condensed mana for emergencies. Unlike other hunters who must store mana, Chan Seok directly absorbs the limitless energy from the atmosphere. But with his power still developing, he decides to store the elixir's energy for a much-needed temporary boost. With a month of intense training, he was confident he would be ready. Now, in the present, he arrives at the mission's staging ground, Gyeodongdo Island. After a quick identity check, Hunter Yu Chan Seok is assigned to Squad 8. There, he's surprised by a familiar face, the hunter he met in the elevator, Han Sang-ah. She's thrilled to be on his team, but he bluntly questions why he should bother working with her. Her earnest reply to his sarcasm makes him realize she has absolutely no sense of humor. Their awkward reunion is cut short as the mission briefing for Squad 8 begins. The squad leader gives them a stern warning: avoid the Alpha Rift at a northern church at all costs. With the briefing over, the hunters make landfall on the monster-infested island. As the other hunters discuss a clumsy patrol, Chan Seok interrupts, proposing a far more strategic plan. But the veteran hunters immediately dismiss him, refusing to take orders from a rookie. He calmly explains the logic, pointing out the clear tactical advantages of his proposed base. Their foolish pride, however, is immune to logic. Without another word, Chan Seok abandons the foolish squad and heads out on his own. He's followed by Sung-ah and one other hunter, Kim Min-jae, who claims he's just worried about the rookies. As they move through the forest, Chan Seok's senses suddenly flare with alarm. He plants his feet, bringing the small group to an abrupt halt. When he has Min-jae scout ahead, the man's face twists in pure shock. They've stumbled upon a massive horde of corrosion creatures swarming the valley. Terrified by the sheer numbers, Min-jae insists they have to retreat immediately. But Chan Seok is completely unfazed, instead demanding to know Min-jae's unique skill. The nervous hunter reveals his most confident attack is Fireball. A plan instantly forms in Chan Seok's mind, and he orders the stunned hunter to prepare for an attack. As Min-jae panics, Chan Seok coolly explains that running or calling for backup are not options. If this horde scatters, the other, less competent hunters will be slaughtered. He declares their only choice is to hit them now, with a coordinated surprise attack. He quickly draws out the plan in the dirt, a simple but devastating 3-person pincer. Min-jae can only stare, wondering how a supposed rookie possesses the mind of a veteran general. On Chan Seok's signal, Min-jae unleashes a massive fireball into the heart of the horde. The devastating explosion incinerates dozens of monsters in an instant. With the ambush complete, Chan Seok leaps into the chaotic swarm of survivors. He masterfully wields his spear, explaining that victory depends on a clear division of roles. His role is to hold the front line, keeping the monsters contained until the next attack is ready. He smirks, knowing he can't possibly block every single one by himself. Just as a creature breaks through his guard, a bolt of lightning strikes it down. This was Han Sang-ah's role, to provide lightning-fast support and cover his blind spots. With perfect timing, Chan Seok roars for the second volley, leaping clear of the blast zone. The colossal explosion finishes off the last of the monster horde. Chan Seok lands safely, the battle won. As the smoke clears, the battlefield is silent, the horde reduced to ash. He turns to his newfound allies, satisfied with their flawless performance. But Min-jae's mission wasn't to hunt monsters, it was to hunt a hunter. Min-jae quickly diffuses the tension, explaining his strange device is just for work. He has a contract with junk dealers to tag monster corpses for valuable byproducts. The dealers collect the loot, sell it, and split the profits with the hunter. As Min-jae praises Shanseok's skill, the ground begins to shake violently. A monstrous creature, far larger than the others, erupts from the forest. Shanseok reacts instantly, shielding Min-jae from the blast. He sizes up the new threat, realizing this is no ordinary monster. This is a mid-boss, the leader of the horde. The beast lets out a roar, its eyes fixed on the three hunters. Sensing its immense power, Shanseok orders his teammates to stay back. He screams at them to retreat, his voice a terrifying command they dare not disobey. Min-jae and Sung-ah are frozen, shocked by his ferocity. He explains that alone he can unleash his paradox flame without restraint. Confident, Shanseok challenges the beast to a one-on-one duel. As Min-jae worries, Sung-ah notices something strange about the fight. Shanseok looks like he's struggling, but he hasn't been hit a single time. He's effortlessly dodging attacks that would be fatal for her. And with every strike of his spear, a mysterious black flame appears. She watches as the flames spread, causing the monster's movements to grow sluggish. She realizes with a start he isn't struggling, he's toying with it. Then, Shanseok does the unthinkable, tossing his spear high into the air. The monster lunges, seeing its opening to finish the disarmed hunter. But Shanseok remains calm as the beast suddenly bursts into his black flames. The mid-boss crashes to the ground, its strength completely burned away. His spear falls from the sky, impaling the beast, but to his shock, it's still alive. He glares, ready to finish this for good. After finally felling the monster, Shanseok asks a question that chills them to the bone. Min-jae confirms that a monster this powerful should only appear in a Grade 3 rift. But Shanseok remembers the briefing. This island was designated unclassified. He comes to a horrifying conclusion. The rift has evolved. Min-jae panics, realizing the danger difference is like night and day. If Shanseok is right, the number of hunters who will survive this mission is close to none. He desperately pleads for Shanseok to save the others, but is met with a flat rejection. Shanseok coldly states that their job is to handle rifts, and death is an expected risk. Sung-ah challenges him, asking if he wouldn't want to be saved if he were in their place. But he isn't talking about feelings, he's talking about the inevitable outcome. He's seen firsthand that in some situations, no amount of wishing can change the facts. And he warns them that in this world, sentimentality will only get you killed. Later, the team finds shelter in an abandoned temple. From the high ground, they can see the lights of other hunters scattered across the island. Shanseok knows that using lights is a death sentence, a beacon for any nearby monsters. Deciding to at least give them a chance, he sends a mass warning about the Grade 3 rift. Min-jae confirms their only hope. If they destroy the rift's core, the entire corrupted zone will disappear. The solution is simple, he'll just have to destroy the rift himself. As his teammates rest, Shanseok sets a proximity alarm to keep them safe. Then, he slips away into the night heading for the rift's core alone. But as he moves through the forest, his senses suddenly scream a warning. Thinking the mid-boss has returned, he summons his power, ready for a rematch. But this is not the beast he fought before. This is a nightmare he's never even dreamed of. In the Gyeodongdo Island Situation Room, a crisis unfolds as operators report losing contact with Hunter Team 5. Worse, the monsters are using organized tactics, and casualties are mounting. Suddenly, a new alert sounds. An unidentified hunter is approaching the heart of the disaster. It's Yu Shanseok, the first man to realize just how wrong this mission had gone. When the control room finally connects to his comms, all they hear is a scream. He's being hunted by a creature whose speed defies all expectations. Alone in the wilderness, Shanseok assesses the dire situation. His paradox flame isn't strong enough. He realizes his mistake. By using too much mana to defeat the giant bat, he'd severely weaken his own power. Trapped on the island, he knows there's only one way to survive: find a new source of power. His search pays off as he locates a ley line, a river of raw mana flowing deep within the forest. This isn't a retreat, it's a calculated risk, and a chance to test a theory. The manager's face falls as he realizes the horrifying truth. Hunter Yu Shanseok has willingly entered the Alpha Corrosion Rift. Inside, Shanseok finds a surprisingly stable and empty landscape, but he's not alone for long. Facing the towering beast, he makes it clear he's ready to end things. His paradox flame has a fatal drawback. It indiscriminately drains the life from every living thing around him. Even his own allies are not immune. He dodges the beast's attack and unleashes the corrupting energy. The monster is immediately engulfed in the volatile, life-draining aura. But for a man who fights alone, the flame's greatest drawback is no drawback at all. As the beast weakens, a brilliant blue light erupts from Shanseok's chest. The stolen mana surges through him, and a grin spreads across his face. The power-up is working. But as the beast shrieks in pain, it sends out a strange energy pulse. Shanseok knows exactly what it's doing, calling for backup. As if on cue, a horde of winged monsters materializes from the darkness. But with his newfound power, trying to overwhelm him with numbers is utterly meaningless. He searches for the rift's true master, when a new voice commands him to stop. A more intelligent foe emerges from the shadows to strike him down. Chanseok realizes this monster is different. It was waiting, calculating. The creature issues a simple, chilling threat: you will die. Undeterred, Chanseok bursts forward to begin his assault. But the core is skilled, easily blocking the spear with its own blade. It's then that Chanseok reveals his true technique: dual-orbit spear. A second, phantom strike of blue energy slams into the unprepared core. Caught completely off guard, the monster can only watch as the attack connects. His technique is more than a simple multi-hit combo. He can delay the phantom strike by a single beat. This creates a pincer attack with a time lag, forcing his opponent into a fatal mistake. With the core's defenses broken, Chanseok declares the fight over. A relentless flurry of strikes riddles the monster's body with energy. The final blow seals its fate. But instead of dissipating, the defeated core leaves behind a mysterious, glowing box. As he opens it, a look of profound shock appears on his face. Meanwhile, back in the real world, the situation has become a catastrophe. The manager resigns himself to failure, believing the hunters are doomed. But just as all hope is lost, an operator shouts, "A message has arrived from Yu Chanseok." On the main screen, a single, impossible sentence appears for all to see. Staring at the screen, the manager could only whisper one word: miracle. But for the man who pulled it off, it was simply a job well done. Han Sang-a unleashes a desperate blast, holding back the horde alone. Exhausted and abandoned by Chanseok, she realizes the number of monsters has only grown. The two rookie hunters are hopelessly surrounded, facing certain death. A fresh wound signals the end. Her strength is all but gone. She lunges for one last attack, but her exhausted body gives out. Her partner Minjae screams in terror as a monster closes in for the kill. And then, a sudden, impossible silence falls over the battlefield. Minjae can only stare as the entire monster horde vanishes without a trace. Back at the assembly point, Chanseok coolly surveys the aftermath he created. Whispers spread through the survivors. A single rookie cleared the entire Grade 3 rift by himself. Chanseok finds his former teammates among the many wounded. He puts on a heroic front, knowing that managing his public image is a battlefield of its own. But his victory has attracted attention from a man in a suit, Byeon Jong-tae of the Korea Operating Corporation. He's being summoned. The mayor of Incheon wants to see him. Chanseok agrees, seeing an opportunity to negotiate a bonus the city never planned to pay. At City Hall, he's greeted by the mayor's smarmy liaison, Lee Piljae. Piljae insists the mayor is so impressed, he canceled his entire morning schedule for this meeting. Mayor Park Jian greets him with a politician's practice warmth. Over coffee, the mayor begins his pitch, praising Chanseok's service to the country. He promises the full support of the city to ensure Chanseok's path as a hunter is a smooth one. But Chanseok recalls his conversation with Jong-tae on the ride over. When asked his purpose as a hunter, Chanseok had been blunt: someone has to be willing to get their hands dirty. Jung-tae had explained that with his power, he would become a symbol for countless people. He pleaded with Chanseok to remain a true hero, a genuine symbol of hope. Back in the present, Chanseok smirks, knowing the mayor's flattery is just a cheap mask. After the eternity he's lived and the hardships he's endured, he is immune to this kind of manipulation. He cuts through the nonsense. What do I have to do in return? Help a mayor with falling approval ratings get re-elected, he asks, stunning the room into silence. The mayor recovers with a nervous laugh, trying to play off the direct hit. Chanseok sees the pathetic plan clearly. The mayor wants to ride his coattails to political victory. The mayor's grand offer? A modeling contract for an instant coffee brand. Chanseok slams his mug down, cutting the politician off mid-sentence. It seems you take me for someone cheap. He reminds the mayor that a new era will begin with or without his help. Everything you're offering, he leans in, is mine to take anyway. He gets up to leave, telling the mayor to congratulate the coffee model on keeping his job. But outside in the rain, the liaison Piljae kneels before a mysterious hooded figure. The figure concludes that their test on Gyeongdo Island was a failure. However, Piljae reports there is good news despite the setback. He has acquired something valuable on their new target. It's a clip from Chanseok's Hunter Association exam, showing the true nature of his power. The mysterious figure watches, his interest finally peaked. He's excellent, isn't he? Once a month, the entire nation holds its breath for the release of the Hunter rankings. Even the president of the Hunter Association, Moon Jung-tae, watches the results with keen interest. Across the world, hunters like the formidable Lee Se-yoon take a moment to see where the chips have fallen. But for Yu Chan-seok, this month's list is more than just a passing curiosity. The rankings reveal the nation's strongest, the deadly fan-wielder Kim Chae-yeon at number 5, the pyrokinetic Choi Yo-ryum holding 3rd place, and the powerhouse Yang Tae-seok, immovable at number 2. But the real shock is a new name, highlighted in red, a rookie who shattered every record on his debut. Yu Chan-seok is thrust into a media frenzy, hailed as a genius for solo clearing a grade 3 rift on his first mission. Tired of the spectacle, he cuts the press conference short, agreeing to only one final question. With unwavering confidence, he declares that he will prove his worth through results alone. Later, he finds himself in a private helicopter with President Moon Jae-tae, who boasts of how South Korea has thrived in this new, broken world. The president shows him one of the Great 80s, the most dangerous corrosion rifts on the planet. He explains how the Gonsal prison rift appeared without warning, swallowing an entire city and its people in days. Chan-seok cuts through the history lesson, demanding to know the real reason he was brought here. The president reveals that Yoon Sung-yeon of the aggressive Taebaek Guild is already trying to track him down. Chan-seok vividly recalls the intimidating giant who tried to forcefully recruit him. President Moon warns him that Taebaek lives by survival of the fittest and won't take no for an answer. He offers a solution, work directly for the association, and he will personally shield Chan-seok from the guilds. But Chan-seok is no fool, and immediately asks what the president wants in return. Moon Jae-tae shrewdly replies that he only wants Chan-seok to remember who helped him rise. Seeing an opportunity, Chan-seok accepts the deal and takes his first official mission file. But upon reading the manifest, he's baffled to find Rolexes and luxury sedans listed as daily necessities. The president cryptically explains that for certain people, these are necessities, a political reality he expects Chan-seok to understand. He insists that even in a crumbling world, international politics are still paramount. Completely unimpressed, Chan-seok unbuckles his seatbelt and flatly declines the mission. He has no interest in becoming a pawn in some politician's game. The president's demeanor hardens, suggesting the rookie's sudden fame has already gone to his head. In response, Chan-seok simply tosses the mission documents out of the open helicopter door. With a final, cool glance, he thanks the president for the ride. And then he jumps. As a massive splash erupts from the water below, the president is left reeling. He can only stare in utter disbelief at the rookie's unbelievable audacity. Hours later, a drenched and exhausted Chan-seok finally hauls himself ashore at Incheon port. He reaffirms his goal to become so powerful that men like the president can never control him again. He decides to find his own work, his own way, and he accepts a high-stakes mission to rescue kidnapping victims near a dangerous rift on Tsushima Island. Sitting alone as the sun sets, he knows he has just declared war on the established powers. But he's done running errands for other people. From now on, he fights his own battles. A new mission is announced. Corrosion creatures from a rift on Tsushima Island have ambushed fishing boats, kidnapping the crew. A lone, traumatized survivor confirms the hostages are still alive. The objective is clear: infiltrate the island, rescue the captives, and destroy the Grade 2 corrosion rift. Back in his apartment, Yu Chan-seok reviews the mission details. His eyes lock onto two things: the Grade 2 threat and the massive 55 million won reward. A dangerous idea begins to form. If he clears the mission alone, the entire fortune is his. But he knows the risks. A Grade 3 monster has the destructive power of a tank. A Grade 2 creature, however, is a natural disaster-level threat. And as for Grade 1, a single one requires an entire nation's military to subdue. Chan-seok admits that against a natural disaster, he might need a teammate to handle the unexpected, and he knows just the person desperate enough to accept such a suicidal mission. Now, geared up and en route to the island, he stands ready for battle. His chosen partner, Han Sang-ah, joins him on deck. He smugly reminds her that he's a rising star who soloed a Grade 3 rift, not some rookie valedictorian. His challenge to get stronger ignites a fire in her eyes. A few days earlier, he had made her a blunt offer over the phone: be his teammate. She hesitated, the memory of their near-death encounter in the last rift still terrifyingly fresh. He cut through her fear with a single piercing question: don't you want to become stronger? He held her own words against her, reminding her that she was the one who wanted to learn from him. He made an irresistible promise: under his tutelage, she would become several times more powerful. For Sang-ah, desperate to escape her past weakness, it was an offer she couldn't refuse. Her answer sealed their pact. For the sake of power, she would willingly jump into hell itself. Back in the present, a blaring alarm shatters the tense quiet. Ghostly ships materialize from the fog. They've found their targets. Chan-seok turns to discuss strategy, only to find Sang-ah hovering in midair. For the first time, she has the upper hand, savoring the rare moment he's outmatched. Now forced to carry her, he skims across the water's surface, his pride slightly wounded. But as they near the ships, his playful demeanor vanishes. He senses immense danger. His mana sense reveals the true threats lie on the ships further back, so he orders her to take the one closest. As she boards the ship, she's taken aback by what looks like a human figure. Suddenly, the creature reveals its true form, a skeletal nightmare from the depths. Their noisy entrance has alerted the entire undead crew, and now they are surrounded. Chanseok unleashes a devastating blast of energy, effortlessly carving a path through the horde. He quickly assesses them as lowest tier grade 2, a manageable threat for him. But when he turns to his partner, he sees she's already burning through her limited power. He barks at her to conserve her energy, that she's wasting far too much on such weak enemies. Mid-battle, he forces her to learn control, screaming for her to reduce her power output even more. The harsh training triggers a painful memory of her own helplessness, reaffirming her vow to never be weak again. His urgent warning snaps her back to reality just as another monster lunges. With newfound focus, she channels her power into a single, precise, and devastatingly efficient strike. His lesson is learned, and with electricity crackling in her eyes, she remembers the price she's willing to pay for this strength. She'd jump into hell itself. With the last of the undead defeated, he asks if the fight is finally over. She grudgingly thanks him for his advice, but he just calls her a slow learner. She admits that because she learned everything so quickly, no one at the academy ever bothered to help her. With a defiant stare, she declares that she has already surpassed every teacher she's ever had. But he just laughs, promising he's one teacher she will never outgrow. After landing on the monster-infested Tsushima Island, the hunters are left to handle the rescue on their own. Chan Seok begins to strategize. A survivor's report places the hostages at one of the island's shrines. But he knows the real problem isn't getting to the hostages, it's getting them out alive. The entire island is crawling with corrosion creatures, and a sinister mana stings the air. To ensure a safe return, he concludes they need one crucial thing, a vehicle. He finds an abandoned van and asks the one question that will come to haunt him. Are you a good driver? She floors it, immediately proving that she is, in fact, not a good driver. He can only cling on for dear life as she tears through the landscape. Deciding he's safer on the roof, Chan Seok climbs out of the moving van to fight. From his new perch, he uses his rope dart to pick off the pursuing monsters. But their problems multiply as another horde appears from the side. He shouts a warning to Song-ah about the incoming attack. She just grins and tells him to leave it to her. Laughing like a madwoman, she uses the van itself as a weapon, mowing down the entire flank. They finally reach their destination, with a massive horde of undead hot on their tail. As they approach the shrine, he tells her to get inside while he handles the monsters. She smashes through the shrine gate, trusting him to deal with the threat behind them. Chan Seok leaps from the van, turning to face the relentless horde alone. His eyes glow as he prepares to unleash his unique ability. He activates his Paradox Flame, engulfing the stairs in a vortex of dark energy. His plan is brilliant in its simplicity. He will burn away the very concept of friction. The effect is immediate, as the entire horde tumbles helplessly down the frictionless steps. Inside, Han Sung-ah finds the kidnapped fishermen bound and terrified. She introduces herself as a hunter, there to rescue them. But instead of relief, the man is seized by an even greater terror. He can only scream, begging her to run for her life. Looming behind her is the true source of their fear, a monstrous armored samurai, its blade poised to strike. But before it can land the blow, Chan Seok appears, blocking the devastating attack with his spear. With his eyes blazing, he orders her to get the survivors to safety. This monster was his to fight. As the battle erupted, Chan Seok was pushed back by the samurai's relentless assault. He expertly parried the blow, his own skill holding the monster at bay. But just as the samurai prepared another strike, Sanga delivered an attack of her own. The decisive blow crushed the monster, leaving it motionless on the ground. As they scrambled to escape, Chan Seok made her promise never to touch the steering wheel again. Sanga screamed a warning, but his eyes were already fixed on the new threat ahead. The ground had split open, revealing a chasm teeming with monstrous red eyes. From the pit, a terrifying horde of undead erupted, shrieking with hunger. Facing overwhelming odds, Chan Seok turned to Sung-ah with a simple request, "Lend me your sword." She protested furiously, declaring it a grave insult to a swordsman, but with the lives of the hostages on the line, her pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. Now wielding both spear and sword, he prepared for the onslaught. He hadn't wanted to do this so soon, but it was time to unleash his trump card. His mind flashed back to the Gyeodongdo Rift and the mysterious item he'd claimed. Inside the box was a single armored gauntlet emanating a subtle blue light. The moment he equipped it, he knew it was no ordinary piece of armor. While a simple mana supplement for others, for him, it was a gateway to immense power. For 5 minutes, it would grant him strength rivaling the world's 10th ranked hunter. Back in the present, the mana-gathering glove activated, flooding his body with power. He unleashed a cataclysmic attack, a web of energy that instantly vaporized the entire horde. From the van, Sang-ah could only watch, utterly speechless at the overwhelming display. But their escape was far from over, as a fresh horde of undead swarmed their vehicle. Sang-ah prepared to get out and fight, but Chun-seok calmly told her to just keep driving. A magical barrier flared to life, repelling the monsters clawing at the van. Sang-ah spotted the source, a glowing magical symbol he'd drawn on a nearby building. He called it protective formation geometry, a monster-repelling technique from another world. But he grimly revealed its limit: it doesn't work on the real ones. The samurai monster strode through the barrier, its duty to protect unfulfilled. Sang-ah was seized by a terrifying chill, sensing the monster's immense power. But Chun-seok remained calm, recognizing the monster's ability as Mind's Eye. She knew the legendary skill, a sixth sense that predicts an opponent's every move. But Chun-seok was unimpressed, dismissing the legendary technique as a simple trick. With a sharp glint in his eye, he declared it was time for a lesson. Mind's Eye isn't magic, he explained. It's just a reflex built from countless battles. He dismissed all so-called ultimate techniques, Heart Sword, State of Selflessness, as mere illusions. Then, with a single, elegant sweep of his spear, he shattered the armored samurai's defenses completely. As the monster crumbled behind him, he calmly asserted that such lofty techniques are nothing special. He had earned the right to say so, paying with countless sacrifices to escape that very trap in his past life. In the face of his power, Sang-ah questioned everything she had accomplished. A new fire lit within her, she could no longer hold back. With her determination rekindled, she gazed at the man who operated on a completely different level. Gathering all her courage, Sang-ah made a request. "Teach me," she pleaded. "Teach me for real." Sang-ah doesn't want advice. She wants his direct, hands-on guidance to grow stronger. Fueled by rage, she declares her ultimate goal: to end Club Shaddai with her own hands. Club Shaddai, one of the great 8 rifts, a cataclysm that swallowed the Himalayas. Her motive is simple and absolute: revenge for her fallen family. To prove her worth, she reveals her connection to the corporate titan, the KY Group. Her offer is clear: make me the best. In return, she'll provide rare elixirs, promising to help him reach the heights of power he desires. But Chun-seok inwardly scoffs. She can't possibly comprehend the level he's already at. For he is a seasoned hero who reached the pinnacle of power long ago. His only fight now is to return the world to the way it was before the rifts. He accepts her plea and they strike a deal, but on his own terms. Leaving the hospital, Chun-seok wastes no time. Her training starts right now. His first question is a challenge. Could she dodge his spear if he fought with his full power? He insists she can if she learns to harness the full potential of her senses. He instructs her to see with her eyes, hear with her ears, and smell the world around her. Even the feeling of the air on her skin is a weapon. She must dominate her senses and fight in the realm of consciousness, not just instinct. Before she can react to his words, he's already gone, and instantly reappears behind her, his blade a cold threat at her neck. In true combat, there is no time to think, only to sense and to act. With the theory lesson over, it was time for the practical exam. Their sparring session is a storm of destruction that tears the training ground apart. Every clash shatters the earth around them, but he remains completely untouchable. As he prepares another strike, her eyes widen in terror, realizing she can't possibly dodge. But his spear stops just inches from her face. They're interrupted by an urgent summons. One of the survivors has woken up. Sang-ah gasps, pulled from the haze of a battle she barely survived. At the hospital, the survivor begins to tell his story. He recalls seeing other people arrive, but the monsters showed them no hostility. Instead, a hooded figure directed the monsters to load hostages onto a truck. He reveals his survival wasn't an escape. It was a release. They were let go on purpose. Chun-seok isn't surprised. His own suspicions are finally confirmed. After all, a civilian couldn't have escaped a place that 2 S-rank hunters barely managed to infiltrate. The chilling realization dawns on Sang-ah. Their rescue mission was a trap from the very beginning. Chun-seok's fury builds. Enraged by the audacity of using human lives as pawns, Sang-ah sees it is not the anger of a warrior underestimated, but of a hero witnessing a great evil. The survivor gives them one last crucial clue. The ringleader wore a cat mascot on their waist. That detail is all Sang-ah needs to pinpoint their destination, Tsushima Airport. They arrive at the abandoned terminal, ready for a confrontation. And on a shattered rooftop below, Chan Seok spots their target. A man with a face full of piercings, radiating an aura of pure menace. The man looks up, and his condescending sneer confirms the terrifying truth. They weren't hunters, they were the prey. A new adversary appears, introducing himself as Kim Ji-hyun. To demonstrate his twisted mercy, he reveals a captured man. With a flick of his wrist, he throws the hostage into the erosion zone. The captive is gruesomely transformed into a half-machine monster, an erosion member. Ji-hyun scoffs at the weak result and obliterates his own creation with a single kick. He reveals his true goal, not ransom, but to forge the hostages into powerful monsters. They are to become the first soldiers in a monstrous army. He proudly declares himself one of the heirs of Dangun, an extremist group obsessed with forging an unchallengeable Korean hegemony. To prove his power, he sends a car hurtling towards Chan Seok, but Chan Seok effortlessly slices it in two. Enraged, Ji-hyun lunges forward, screaming his vow to build a nation no one will ever look down on again. His attacks are fueled by historical resentment, and Chan Seok notes his opponent's formidable speed. Chan Seok narrowly evades the furious onslaught. When accused of not caring about saving the world, Ji-hyun callously agrees. But then he reveals something that stops Chan Seok cold. His group has found a way to control the erosion zones. The implications are staggering, a discovery that could change everything. Chan Seok plays along, feigning cooperation to probe for more information, but when Ji-hyun claims they have sufficient control, Chan Seok sees his opening. He calls him out as a fraud, nothing but a thug with empty, noble-sounding goals. The taunt hits its mark, and Ji-hyun loses his composure entirely. It was all a stalling tactic. Chan Seok was buying time for his mana to recharge. Suddenly, Han Sang-ah intercepts the attack with a blast of energy. She saw his empty spare gauntlets. She knew he was out of power. Holding a mana elixir, she asks him one question: how long do you need? 5 minutes, he tells her, as she injects the dangerous stimulant. Now crackling with borrowed power, she stands ready to hold the line. Chan Seok warns her of a potential overload, but she knows it's their only chance. With fierce determination, she resolves to buy him the time he needs. She calls down a storm, gathering a massive bolt of lightning from the sky, and unleashes its full fury upon Kim Ji-hyun. The raw power of the storm engulfs their enemy, but he emerges from the blast, a trickle of blood his only injury. Unfazed, Ji-hyun mockingly declares her ultimate attack was merely ticklish. And, in an instant, he strikes back. A single kick sends her flying, rendered unconscious, but a hand gently catches her. It's Chan Seok, his eyes cold as he asks, ready to die? Ji-hyun is stunned, sensing Chan Seok's mana has skyrocketed. Chan Seok reveals his own secret, a mana recovery skill that functions just like Ji-hyun's piercings. He thanks his foe, revealing he absorbed all the purified mana Ji-hyun had been leaking into the air. Ji-hyun panics, claiming such a thing is impossible. But Chan Seok's paradoxical phantasm flame is now fully restored. You don't need to know the details, you're about to die anyway. The fight is over, and Kim Ji-hyun lies dying, his heart no longer beating. Chan Seok coldly explains the terrifying reality. His paradox flame has burned away the man's muscles entirely. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light signals a new arrival. Chan Seok dodges just in time, an arrow meant for his heart. On the roof, a hooded figure lowers his bow, introducing himself as Ji-hyun's captain. Chan Seok senses his immense power, an energy far surpassing even the world's top-ranked hunters. The mysterious captain praises his guts, his gaze burning with an unnerving interest. Chan Seok sees through the man's facade, realizing he's not here to kill him, but to claim his power. The captain issues a single command: extinguish the flames, or his man dies. Chan Seok understands if the captain had wanted him dead, that first arrow would have been a headshot. He relents, allowing the paradox flame to dissipate. In a flash, the captain is at his subordinate's side, catching him before he falls. He reveals the man's grim fate, a lifetime confined to a wheelchair, kept alive only by machines. And now he readies his bow again, intending to take Chan Seok alive, no matter the cost. But Chan Seok stares him down, refusing to ever become anyone's puppet. The captain boasts that he once tamed the untamable corrosion rifts, and ominously vows that one day, Chan Seok's power will also be his. With a final, echoing promise, the captain and his subordinate vanish. As the dust settles, Han Sang-ah cautiously approaches. Chan Seok guides her to a chilling realization about the attack's political implications. He confirms her worst fear: this terrorist group may be secretly backed by their own government. With a new, more dangerous enemy in the shadows, Chan Seok decides to clear the rift alone. He leaps into the darkness, ready to face whatever horrors await. He arrives deep within the corrosion rift, a twisted temple of death. The piercing energy confirms it. The core of the rift lies just beyond the next door. Steeling himself, he steps into the heart of the enemy's den. Inside, he finds a massive, bubbling cauldron, emanating a sickening vapor. Suddenly, a pale hand grabs him from behind. A bloodied survivor, crawling on the floor, begs to be saved. But a monstrous appendage snakes out from the cauldron, wrapping around the desperate man. Screaming in agony, he's dragged back towards the grotesque pot. Chan Seok lunges, trying to pull him to safety. But it's too late. With a final, harrowing cry for help, the man is consumed. Moments later, a newly formed undead horror crawls out of the vile liquid. He's filled with disgust, realizing the cauldron is a factory for the undead, powered by living sacrifices. The sight triggers a painful memory from his past life, a burning village filled with the screams of the innocent. The trauma of that day's atrocities makes him physically ill. His disgust turns to pure rage at the humans who would commit such acts. From the shadows, a calm voice observes the arrival of another sacrifice. Wreathed in a powerful aura, the true master of this domain reveals himself and recognizes the energy of a warrior. A possessed warrior raises his glowing sword, commanding him to fight. Driven by a vengeful spirit, he vows to temper his blade with his opponent's blood. The pressure from the Grade 2 Rift Core is immense. This monster is being actively controlled by an unknown master. He knows even the slightest hesitation could be fatal as he barely dodges the first strike. He deduces the only way to win is to finish it with a single, overwhelming strike. He pours his full power into one devastating thrust. But the warrior intercepts the blow with impossible ease. The outcome leaves the protagonist utterly stunned. It wasn't just the block, he never even saw his opponent move. The Rift Warrior calmly explains that a truly swift attack ought to be unseen, and with a slash of impossible speed, he proves his point. The relentless assault leaves him bloodied and overwhelmed. He stumbles back, facing an impassive and unbeatable presence. In a desperate move, he activates his signature technique. But he knows the Paradox Flame is useless as an attack against a non-living foe. Before he can form a new plan, a brutal attack rips through his body. Yet as the warrior turns his back, the hero forces himself up for one last gamble. Using the Paradox Flame to rapidly heal his torn muscles, he closes the distance in an instant. But the warrior's eye reveals a chilling truth. He was waiting for this exact moment. Effortlessly countering the ambush, he speaks two simple words, too slow. A final, decisive slash cuts through the air. The warrior stands victorious over his fallen opponent. But he forces himself to his feet, furious that the warrior was clearly toying with him. The warrior admits he could have killed him, if he were his former self. He reveals his tragic state, a nameless spirit, robbed of his memories from when he was alive. His flawed technique is a result of this memory loss, and a disgraceful shackle now binds him to his new master. He clutches the shackle, overcome by sorrow for all that he has lost. He has lost his name, and the very reason he ever took up the sword. This sorrowful revelation causes his power to surge, crackling violently around him. His resentment transforms him, twisting his form into an embodiment of pure sorrow. As the warrior's power grows, his technique fades, a new strategy begins to form. To defeat this sorrowful powerhouse, he must now pour out every last bit of his own power. As black flames restore his body, Yu Chan-seok prepares for the next phase of the fight. He reveals his unique power, a flame that burns abstract concepts. But he knows his current, weaker body is a pale imitation of his former overwhelming power. With no other choice, he decides to go all out by burning the very durabilities of the entire rift. The Rift Warrior is left utterly dumbfounded, unable to comprehend what it means to burn a concept. As the warrior stumbles from the first blow, Chan-seok taunts him about the new rules of engagement. Confident the tables have turned, he prepares to push his current limits. "Let's take this elsewhere," he declares, as his power deconstructs the fabric of their reality. Now unbound by gravity, the two engage in a high-speed dogfight amongst the floating wreckage. The Rift Warrior swings for a fatal blow, but Chan-seok desperately parries the attack. But he is utterly dominated by his opponent's sheer strength. The warrior's blade cleaves right through his spear, and with his defenses shattered, Chan-seok is sent plummeting downwards in defeat. Using the chaotic environment, he shatters a platform with his foot to launch himself forward. The Rift Warrior is caught completely off guard as his opponent closes the distance in an instant. Chan-seok's eyes glow with power as he unleashes a new and devastating attack. He manifests a storm of ethereal blades, a technique completely foreign to his opponent. The warrior is caught in the maelstrom, unable to defend against the overwhelming assault. He admits to himself that even across countless battlefields, he has never encountered such a power. Visibly unnerved, he demands to know what kind of being his opponent truly is. His eyes widen as he sees a colossal construct of energy materializing in the sky. Chon Suok drives the attack downward, preparing to lock his opponent in place. The warrior is ensnared, suspended helplessly within the intricate energy prison. But with a defiant roar, the warrior unleashes a massive surge of power, attempting to shatter the cage. As his opponent focuses on breaking free, Chon Seok seizes the perfect moment for a final, decisive strike. He lets out a battle cry, unleashing all of his remaining power in one ultimate attack. In a climactic flash, their weapons meet for the last time, sealing both their fates. Chon Seok accepts his own impalement, a triumphant smirk on his face as he lands a fatal blow of his own. The Rift Warrior is also struck through the chest, his form beginning to crack and disintegrate. In their final moment, the two warriors share a grim smile of mutual respect. With the Rift Warrior defeated, the Dimension's core explodes, signifying the end of the brutal battle. In a distant memory, a young knight asks his legendary commander, Lee Han Seok, what one should do against a perfect equal. With a grim and unwavering gaze, Lee Han Seok states that the answer is obvious. He delivers his brutal philosophy: in a true fight between equals, one of them isn't coming out alive. As the Rift Warrior's form dissolves into light, Hyun Soik's words echo in the present. Alone and victorious, he reaffirms his core belief. In the end, he is always the strongest. In the aftermath of his battle, Yu Chon Seok stands victorious within the collapsing rift. As a reward for his victory, a chest materializes before him, just like in his past life. Inside, he finds a golden-bladed spear, but notes its unusually short length. With a surge of mana, the weapon instantly extends to its full, formidable length. He had just acquired a versatile new spear whose length could be manipulated at will. With the rift now closed, silence falls over the once chaotic Tsushima airport. Nearby, Han Sang-ah rests, recovering from the ordeal. He wakes her with a gift, a replacement for the sword she lost. He casually tells her it's a fine blade he found on his way back. Impressed by its perfect condition, a grateful Sang-ah accepts the weapon. But as the adrenaline fades, his body finally gives out, and he collapses from sheer exhaustion. Watching him fall, Sang-ah realizes her seemingly invincible master has limits after all. The news of a rookie hunter solo clearing a Grade 2 rift sends shockwaves through the community. Overnight, Yu Chan Seok becomes an instant celebrity, his face plastered on every screen. But his newfound fame becomes a prison, as he can't even step outside without being recognized. His isolation is interrupted by a knock on his hospital room door. A woman introduces herself as Ja Soo-jung, from a company called Embargo Tower. Knowing that such expensive treatment wasn't mere charity, he bluntly asks what her company wants from him. She responds not with a sales pitch, but with a cake and a disarming smile. She's here to discuss a prototype shield generator, a device that creates a barrier against corrosion creatures. Soo-jung claims the device is so powerful, it could change the very fate of humanity. Hearing that even the powerful Janabai Guild is involved, Chon Seok realizes the true scale of this operation. The mission: transport the generator by train from Vladivostok across the continent to the UK. But Europe is no longer safe. It's under the influence of a powerful organization known as Ristorante. With the entire continent in a state of anarchy, the transport will be unimaginably dangerous. Chon Seok cuts to the heart of the matter. Everyone will be targeting that train. Soo-jung then reveals she will be joining the mission to oversee all data collection. He agrees, but lays down his one condition: Hunter Han Sang-ah must come with them. Chon Seok accepts the mission, seeing a chance to expand his influence faster than he ever dreamed. Soon after, a military helicopter arrives to take him to the briefing. The Hunter Association chairman, Moon Jong-tae, pledges his full support, his expectations now certainty. But Chon Seok wonders if the powerful chairman truly wants to fix the world or simply maintain his own power. As he boards the helicopter, he's surprised to find another passenger already waiting. Top-ranked hunter Lee Se-yoon greets him coolly, remarking that his reputation precedes him. Testing her, he asks if she knows of the terrorist group, the Descendants of Donggun. She confirms she does, and is surprised he's already encountered the extremists. But she quickly changes the subject, catching him off guard by offering a piece of candy. She then asks the same strange question as Soo-jung, if he has any experience traveling abroad. As they fly into the unknown, she delivers a cryptic warning: this mission is going to change how he sees the world. The briefing begins for a mission that will traverse half the world. Major General An Hoon-seo outlines the operation: protect a massive mile train. One car is more important than all the others: the shield generator, whose protection has been assigned to the Janabi Guild. When the general suggests the military share the burden, Lee Se-yoon flatly rejects the idea. She knows that with Janabi's name attached, the generator is already a prime target for their most powerful enemies. With chilling authority, she declares that no one but Janabi will be allowed to approach it. The general details the perilous route, a 2-week journey through corrosion zones and hostile territory. But the most dangerous threat comes from 5 non-responsive European warlords, now considered enemies. As despair fills the room, a single, confident voice cuts through the tension. It's Lee Se-yoon, who vows that no matter what, she will see the train to its destination. On D-Day, the operation commences in the frozen lands of Russia. Yu Chan-seok makes his way down the kilometer-long train, ready for the long journey ahead. He's met by Han Sang-ah, who's come to remind him of a promise. Ja Seo-jung joins them, marveling at the sheer scale of the train. Chan-seok's attention is fixed on the generator car, protected by what looks like ironclad security. But he can't shake the feeling that its heavy defenses only make it a more obvious target. His fears are realized in an instant as the train comes under attack. A wounded hunter screams for backup. The assault has already begun. Without hesitation, Chan-seok springs into action. Less than 10 minutes from departure, the train is swarmed by a horde of corrosion creatures. He fights relentlessly, but the numbers are overwhelming, and their strongest hunter is nowhere to be seen. Lee Se-yoon has been assigned a different, crucial task, protecting the crews repairing the damaged tracks ahead. It's a strategic blunder that has benched their most powerful weapon. Facing an endless sky of enemies, Chan-seok braces for the fight of his life. Meanwhile, in the warlord territory of Khabarovsk, Nikolai Baranov stands over his latest kill. But his victory is interrupted by the arrival of a mysterious, uninvited guest, Lee Hyun. Suddenly, the monster he thought was dead lunges for a final, desperate attack. Without flinching, the warlord unleashes the machine gun built into his very arm. The beast is torn to shreds, proving Nikolai is a monster in his own right. Hyun calmly explains he's come to offer a job to the ruler of Khabarovsk. Intrigued, Nikolai demands to know the details, making it clear money is no object. Hyun reveals that a train is scheduled to pass through their territory. His disbelief turns to shock when Hyun reveals the true target, Janabi's candy lady, Lee Se-yoon. Hyun clarifies the objective. It's not a robbery, but an act of destruction. He hands Nikolai a terminal instructing him to breach a specific car and connect the device. The chance to fight a world-class hunter is too much to resist. Nikolai accepts with a savage roar. He vows to not only destroy the cargo, but to slaughter every last hunter in front of Se-yoon's eyes. A new, far deadlier threat now races toward the unsuspecting train. Aboard the speeding train, Yu Chan-seok carves a path of destruction through the monster swarm. The other hunters can only watch in shock as the rookie slaughters nearly 100 creatures by himself. He glances back at his exhausted comrades, dismissing them as utterly useless. Only Han Sang-ah, he notes, seems to have any fight left in her. But their brief respite is shattered by an immense explosion that rips the tracks apart. Commander Lee Se-yoon's senses scream in warning. She issues a single critical order: stop the train. Standing at the front, she confirms her fears. The real enemy has arrived. A massive energy beam streaks through the air, aimed directly at her. But with a single swing of her blade, she contemptuously deflects the attack. The attacker is revealed, a soldier in a high-tech suit, part of an approaching army. Chan-seok immediately identifies them, the infamous armed gang led by the warlord Nikolai Baranov. Just as Lee Se-yoon prepares to engage, she's ambushed by a flurry of magical talismans. The papers erupt in a flash of purple light, weaving a powerful binding spell around her. Straining against the bonds, she delivers the grim news: she's been completely sealed. The reality of the situation crashes down on the hunters. They're outnumbered 10-1. But even trapped, their commander remains defiant, giving her final order: hunt. Without hesitation, Chan-seok and Sang-ah leap from the train to face the army alone. Inspired by the rookie's impossible bravery, the other hunters find their courage and prepare to follow. A man named Lee Hyun appears before the trapped commander, smugly informing her that escape is impossible. He introduces himself as a member of the descendants of Dangun and her distant relative. Ignoring his taunts, she tries to shatter the seal with brute force, only for her massive sword to break instead. For the first time, a flicker of genuine shock crosses her face, but she simply twists a ring on her finger, and it begins to glow with a brilliant blue light. A brand new sword materializes in her hand as she taunts him with her hidden trump card, the mirror ring, a rare item that instantly duplicates a weapon the moment it's destroyed. Meanwhile, Chan-seok and Sang-ah stand their ground as the entire enemy force charges. Flying above his troops, Nikolai Baranov mocks their courage, offering to spare them if they surrender. Sang-ah explains his power comes not from mana, but from a suit developed by the old Predator project. Chan Seok, however, finds it deeply suspicious that a Russian warlord possesses abandoned Korean military technology. The grim reality hits Sung-ah. Hunting now means killing other human beings. But she hardens her resolve, declaring that anyone trying to kill them is an enemy, no different from a monster. As she hesitates before an attacker, Chan Seok moves with blinding speed, ending the man's life in an instant. Blood sprays across the snow as the decapitated body falls at her feet. He looks at her with a cynical smirk and offers some cold advice. The guilt will fade in a month, tops. The snowy battlefield was a mural of blood and viscera, but in this carnage, Yu Chan Seok felt disturbingly at home. Assessing the chaos, he saw only one clear path to victory. Ignore the fodder and take down the enemy commander, Nikolai Baranov. The warlord recognized the rookie from Korea, a smirk spreading across his face. Their first exchange was a brutal test of strength. Chan Seok knew his opponent was dangerously fast and strong, and his advanced military suit was seemingly indestructible. This would have been a tough fight, if not for the new power he gained on Tsushima. Enraged, Nikolai unleashed a hail of bullets, vowing to end him. But as he dodged, Chan Seok realized the warlord was holding back. A Russian in a Korean suit and a seal master with perfect timing. The pieces didn't add up. As his paradox flame touched the armor, Nikolai cried out in shock. Chan Seok wasn't burning the suit, he was burning the very concept of its durabilities. The supposedly impenetrable armor began to disintegrate before the warlord's eyes. With his enemy's greatest defense gone, Chan Seok unleashed his blue trajectory 16-hit combo. The final blow, cannon, slammed directly into Nikolai's chest. Broken and desperate, the warlord offered a deal to save his own life. Chan Seok's answer was a single, final blow that sliced him in two. Standing over the bisected corpse, he declared he didn't need the warlord's help, because a hunter of Lee Se-yoon's caliber could break such a weak seal all by herself. And from within her prison, her power flared, proving him right. After the battle, a freed Lee Se-yoon offered him a strange reward for his efforts. Holding the candy, he confirmed his suspicion. The seal master was one of the descendants of Dangun, but his teammates watched in horror as he prepared to actually eat it. She explained that while many hunters collect her candies, they are trophies, never to be eaten. But Chan Seok's attention was elsewhere, on the soldiers recovering Nikolai's gear. A chilling realization dawned on him. A Russian warlord was using highly specialized Korean military equipment. There was only one explanation. The Korean military itself was involved in the attack. Suddenly, the allies standing beside him were no longer allies at all. Elsewhere, the failed seal master, Lee Ha-yoon, cursed his defeat. He reported his failure to his mysterious hooded captain. But alone, the captain's calm shattered, revealing a burning obsession with the power that defeated him. He entered a secret lab calling for a Dr. Seo Gyun-woo. The doctor casually greeted his superior, pizza in hand. The captain dismissed all concerns about budget and time, simply ordering him to hurry. He knew the journey through Siberia was long, and they would have more than enough chances to strike again. An armored train carves a path through the desolate Siberian plains. The mission has already been costly. They've lost a third of their combat power. Lee Se-yoon takes charge, seeing to her wounded and planning for their arrival in Warsaw. She orders her team to contact the local warlord's hunter guild to ensure safe passage. Se-yoon is certain they will cooperate, leveraging the power and influence of her name. But in Poland, the hunter Robert Digny contemptuously tells his aide to tell her to fuck off. His colleagues are horrified, reminding him this request is from the legendary Candy Lady, who cleared 5 Grade 1 rifts. Suddenly, Robert finds himself surrounded by the guild's top hunters, all united against him. One declares she would rather quit the guild than reject a request from the Candy Lady. A fellow hunter silences his rant with a simple, chilling truth. The Candy Lady is different. They all owe her a debt. Her foundation had saved each and every one of them. Cornered by their unwavering loyalty, Robert can only curse her name. Back on the train, Se-yoon silently hopes their journey won't face any more delays. But as if on cue, an urgent alert sounds. A massive horde of gelatinous slimes is rapidly closing in on the train. Se-yoon's expression turns grim. She knows the true danger they're in. Unfamiliar with this world, Yu Chan Seok calmly asks, "What's a slime?" She explains, these are Grade 1 corrosion creatures from a rift nicknamed the Refrigerator. Worse, their bodies are as cold as liquid nitrogen, capable of freezing and shattering any equipment on contact. The hunters take aim and loose a volley of mana-infused arrows. To their horror, the attacks are useless. The slimes possess a powerful mana resistance. Chan Seok quickly realizes if mana attacks don't work, they have no way to win. As panic sets in, Se-yoon admits the mission is a failure. Yet amidst the despair, Yu Chan-seok and Han Sung-ah remain completely unfazed. He casually approaches an archer and asks if he can give the bow a try. If the problem is simply mana resistance, he has the perfect solution. Then I just need to burn it, he declares, unleashing an arrow crackling with his paradox flame. The flaming arrow strikes its target, and the purple flames immediately begin to consume the creature's defenses. The other hunters stare in disbelief as the slime's impenetrable shield is completely erased. He calmly hands the bow back, instructing the archers to attack once his flames die down. Seyun realizes with awe that his skill can erase even abstract concepts, making him a truly unfathomable power. With the slime's defenses shattered, she leaps forward to finish the job. Her blade slices through the creatures with ease, and the hunters cheer, finally able to fight back. But the fight isn't over. A final, colossal threat looms over them. The last slime leaps into the air, preparing to crush the entire train car. Seyun sees no way out, the monster is too big, and they are out of time. But as the others despair, Chan-seok calmly draws his blade. Leaping toward the falling behemoth, he declares that power means nothing once its source is turned to dust. He catches a solidified remnant, noting its distinct cola flavor. And as he smirks, Seyun begins to wonder if this man might just be the one to save their damned world. After fighting through Siberia, the mission train finally makes its way toward Poland. The team arrives in the central station of a war-torn Warsaw. Yu Chan-seok is taken aback by the absolute devastation and the sheer number of corpses. But the veteran hunters are completely unfazed, a grim sign of what this world has become. A local military officer breaks his grim thoughts, calling out his name. He introduces himself as Warrant Officer Joseph Polanski of the Mazurka Warlords. Chan-seok is chauffeured away in a luxury car, a stark contrast to the surrounding ruin. Polanski makes a recruitment pitch, tempting him with the promise of true power. The offer turns sinister, suggesting that for a man like him, even people can be provided for sport. The vile proposition fills Chan-seok with a silent, murderous rage. Later, his special accommodations consist of a bare room and instant cup noodles for dinner. His evening is interrupted by nervous Jia Sujong, asking for a small favor. She only wanted to use his private shower, a rare luxury she wasn't afforded. In return for his kindness, he tells her he has a question of his own. From the couch, he asks a seemingly simple question: why is all their food aid from Korea? She reveals the grim truth: it's all due to Korea's exploitative foreign policy. No country can risk angering the Korean government and losing access to their powerful hunters. Chan-seok's expression hardens as he grasps the rotten state of global politics. He presses further, asking if they're transporting something as worthless as sprouted potatoes. The truth is far worse. The relief supplies are compound powder 65 dried and ground up food waste. He is left speechless, processing the fact they are delivering literal garbage as aid. Then, he delivers a harsh lesson. If they sent supplies with actual value, it would never reach those who truly need it. Any edible food would simply be hoarded by warlords to purchase more weapons. He comes to a chilling conclusion: this world is even more hopeless than the one he fought in for 20 years. This harsh dose of reality solidifies his resolve. He now knows what must be done. He approaches Jia Sujong with an intimidating determination that startles her. He asks for the location of the nearest uncooperative warlord, Hamburg, Germany. Without a moment's hesitation, Chan-seok travels to Hamburg to handle the situation personally. The German warlord, Daniel Lewis, is alerted that his operation has a problem. A soldier reports that a lone Korean hunter is tearing through their forces. Chan-seok effortlessly manhandles one of the warlord's men, ignoring his threats. Enraged by the blatant disrespect, the German warlord screams, asking if he has a death wish. But Chan-seok simply explains his own philosophy: if you're going to kill, you must do it properly. Because in this world, ruthlessness is the only true path to survival. At the Warsaw HQ, Chan-seok finds his commander, Lee Se-yoon, buried in paperwork. He cuts to the chase, revealing that the terrorist group, the descendants of Donggun, are after the corrosion rifts. Se-yoon is shocked, demanding to know why he withheld this intel from his previous mission. But Chan-seok has no faith in their current allies, bluntly stating he can't work with them. Their teammate, Han Sung-ah, arrives, fresh from surveying the city. She confesses that the reality of Warsaw is so bleak, she can hardly believe her own eyes. But Se-yoon coldly dismisses her sympathy. Their job is the mission, not humanitarian aid. Interrupting the heavy mood, Chan-seok announces he has a plan to break the stalemate. He's going to negotiate with the German warlord directly, and he'll be doing it his way. Fed up with diplomacy and red tape, he declares that he's taking the helm himself. When asked if he'll be okay alone, he promises to have the issue resolved before their supply distribution is even finished. Sanga offers to accompany him, but he dismisses her, telling her to focus on her own training. With a confident smirk, he bids them farewell, promising to see them in Germany. The warlord's forces had banked on their numerical advantage, believing they could easily overwhelm a single hunter. But their plan instantly fell apart as Chan Seok dismantled them with a single, overwhelming attack. Standing amidst the wreckage, he offers the warlord Daniel Lewis a simple choice: talk or die. The German commander is stunned, unable to comprehend how Chan Seok still has any mana left. At his command to attack, Daniel screams in panic as his target vanishes in a blur. In an instant, Chan Seok appears behind the warlord, grabbing him in a chokehold. Holding the warlord hostage, he coldly repeats his offer. Daniel desperately tries to threaten him with the political consequences of his attack, but Chan Seok's dismissive glare says everything he needs to. Terrified and defeated, the warlord agrees to talk. Inside the negotiation tent, Chan Seok recoils in disgust from the drink he was offered. Daniel wearily admits it's been years since he's had a real cola himself. Cutting through the melancholy, Chan Seok demands to know why he's obstructing the mission. Daniel explodes, declaring Germany needs the shield generator far more than the UK. Their country is on the front line against Ristorante, one of the Great Eight Rifts, whose corruption spreads across Europe. Chan Seok counters with cold logic: the generator is experimental and must be tested in a stable location first. As Daniel argues, Chan Seok's patience wears thin. If you've noticed, then shut up and cooperate. He ominously reminds the warlord that he's already seen the other, more violent option. And to emphasize his point, he smashes the glass in his hand. But his real goal isn't violence, it's simply to make Daniel finally talk to Commander Lee. Realizing he's been thoroughly outplayed, the warlord finally agrees to make the call. But when Daniel tells him to leave, Chan Seok refuses, declaring he'll be staying right there. As a lodging fee, he places a single, brightly colored candy in Daniel's hand. It's a cola-flavored candy he got from a slime, a taste of a world Daniel has long since forgotten. Later, Chan Seok admits that seeing the miserable state of the world has changed him. He knows the warlord and everyone else will thank him for what he's about to do. He now has a new goal: to smash every rift and save the world, so that one day everyone can drink real cola again. In war-torn Warsaw, desperate refugees stand in line for what little aid the military can offer. But for one man, the meager ration is the final insult. His defiance is met with the cold barrel of a gun. But when they realize the soldiers are only using non-lethal rounds, the crowd's fear turns to fury. Desperation boils over into a full-blown riot. Far from the chaos, Lee Se-yoon receives a call that changes everything: a report from Yu Chan Seok. In Hamburg, the fearsome Kaiser warlord Daniel Lewis reluctantly agrees to cooperate, thanks to Chan Seok's persuasion. Meanwhile, Chan Seok himself keeps watch over the ruined city. His patrol is interrupted by Han Sung-ah, who tells him he's been summoned. But just as he's about to leave, his senses scream that something is wrong. He spots an unnatural glint of light from a distant clock tower. He's being watched. Without a word, he leaps into action, racing towards the observer. He arrives at the tower, confirming his suspicions. Someone was just here. Focusing his senses, he begins to track the faint trail of mana they left behind. To his surprise, the trail doesn't lead out, it leads up. Realizing he's walked into a trap, he prepares for an attack from above. A blade slices through the ceiling, but Chan Seok is ready, parrying the ambush. His attacker introduces himself as Seok Jo-hong, a member of the terrorist group known as the Descendants of Dangun. Chan Seok can't help but notice his strange, traditional attire. Jo-hong unleashes a blindingly fast assault with his Calamus sword. Chan Seok is pushed onto the defensive, barely managing to block the relentless attacks. He's certain his counterattacks should have landed, but somehow they're passing right through his opponent. Seok Jo-hong mocks his efforts, confident in his superior technique, but the assassin's eyes catch a flicker of purple mana gathering at Chan Seok's feet. As Chan Seok strikes, Jo-hong's body shimmers, splitting into multiple identical clones. His spear passes harmlessly through one of the figures, confirming it was just an illusion. The real Seok Jo-hong appears behind him, boasting that he can never be hit. But, as Chan Seok takes a defensive stance, his expression is calm. He's seen enough. He reveals his first deduction. Not only is his opponent using clones, but his speed and power surge every time they merge. Jo-hong remains smug, unaware that Chan Seok has already solved the rest of the puzzle and found the fatal flaw in his technique. The standoff between Yu Chan Seok and the terrorist Seok Jo-hong continues on the streets of Hamburg. But Chan Seok simply smirks. His opponent's greatest strength is about to become his fatal weakness. In his past life, he'd fought monsters called phantoms with this exact same phasing ability. He'd learned they weren't intangible, but were using mana to displace their bodies into another space. To defeat them, one had to recalibrate their own attack speed to strike at the precise moment their defense activated. Now, he puts that knowledge to devastating use. The blow connects, catching the terrorists completely off guard. Johim can only stare in disbelief, wondering how this was possible. With his opponent defeated, Chan Seok moves in to end the fight. But just as he's about to strike, a massive explosion rips through the city. His victory is cut short by an urgent call from Sang-ah. She delivers shocking news. A sarin gas bomb has been dropped on the outskirts of Hamburg. Even a microscopic amount of the forbidden weapon would turn the city into a living hell. Wasting no time, he abandons his target and races back to the train. The train is scheduled for an emergency departure in just 5 minutes. But Sang-ah adds a critical detail. Lee Se-yoon is currently holding off an enemy alone. In a flash, Chan Seok realizes the terrorists' true goal. The gas attack was just a diversion to isolate their strongest asset. And Se-yoon's opponent is none other than the mysterious archer they faced on Tsushima Island. The rank 10 hunter, Lee Se-yoon, holds her ground with a determined smirk. But the captain retaliates, unleashing a terrifying power of his own. His arrow explodes with overwhelming force. Even Se-yoon is shocked by the sheer power of the attack. Aboard the evacuating train, the remaining hunters watch in horror, realizing even Se-yoon is being pushed back. Suddenly, a voice rings out as Chan Seok arrives just in the nick of time. He reprimands the idle hunters, reminding them Se-yoon is buying them time, not putting on a show. He warns them that with Se-yoon gone, an attack on the train is imminent. Back in the ruined city, the captain compliments Se-yoon on withstanding his attacks. She confidently tells him his plan has failed, but the captain replies with a chilling, "Don't worry." His plan was never to defeat her, only to keep her occupied while his forces target the now defenseless train. The mission speeds along the tracks, now critically vulnerable. And from a nearby rooftop, a new enemy, Seo Yeonju, smiles, confirming the train is right on schedule for their ambush. Aboard the mission train, an alert is sounded. A hostile group has been spotted on the bridge ahead. On the bridge above stand Seo Yeonju and Lee Ha-yoon, leaders of a terrorist cell. Without hesitation, they leap, launching a direct assault on the moving train. Amidst the chaos, Seo Yeonju calmly singles out her target, Yu Chan Seok. Her orders, she explains, are to capture him alive, but she confesses she isn't one for taking prisoners. With a sinister smile, she taunts that if he dies by accident, oh well. She unleashes a devastating sonic shockwave from her instrument, the Gaiajium. Nearby, her partner Lee Ha-yoon prepares to amplify the attack with his own power. He performs a ritual dance, creating a powerful buff that empowers their sound-based assault. The sheer force of the combined attack stuns the other hunters on the train. But Chan Seok is completely unfazed, plugging his ears and calling her performance absolute garbage. She scoffs, boasting that sound itself can never be blocked. He accepts the challenge, unleashing his paradox flame, not to burn the train, but to burn the very concept of sound. Caught in the sudden, absolute silence, Seo Yeonju tries to scream, only to find her voice, and her partners, completely gone. Chan Seok smirks, enjoying their confusion in a world he now controls. As Yeonju scans the silent battlefield, she sees a look of pure agony on her partner's face. She realizes too late, she isn't the hunter, she's the prey. In an instant, Chan Seok lands a devastating blow. Desperate, Lee Ha-yoon ignores his partner's cry and unleashes a forbidden sealing magic. The wounded Yeonju can only watch in horror as he plays his final card. He pours all his energy into the spell, believing he has finally trapped their target. He boasts that this barrier was designed to restrain even the strongest of hunters. But from within the supposedly unbreakable seal, a terrifying, shadowed figure emerges behind him. Chan Seok shatters the barrier from the inside, striking Ha-yoon down with ease. Standing over them, he mockingly asks who gave them permission to leave. His life fading, Ha-yoon screams at his partner to take the shield generator and run. But Chan Seok gives them one last chilling invitation: go on, try and run. Meanwhile, at Hamburg Central Station, another battle has just concluded. A battered but resolute Lee Se-yoon stands her ground against a mysterious man known only as the Captain. But her opponent surprisingly calls off the fight, claiming he's seen enough. She scoffs at his group's ideology, dismissing it as pseudo-historical nonsense. Their entire movement is built on the belief in a primordial Korean empire that once ruled Eurasia. But in a stunning admission, the captain flatly denies believing any of it, calling the theory insane. He reveals his cynical truth: it doesn't matter if he believes, as long as his followers do. He explains that their faith will compel them to join his grand dream, because faith needs no proof. His chilling monologue concludes as he vanishes: you just believe. Lee Se-yoon is left standing alone in the ruins, her opponent gone. As the dust settles, she is left to ponder the terrifying conviction of a man who weaponizes faith itself. As he considers his next move, an urgent call comes from Mission Control. Commander Lee Se-yoon is missing in action. And to his shock, he is granted provisional command of the entire mission. Stepping into his new role, he makes a ruthless decision: leave the commander behind and keep the train moving. He justifies his choice by the mission's importance, but privately, he has faith she'll survive. And his faith is rewarded. He smirks, knowing he was right about her. Battered but alive, Commander Lee Se-yoon makes her dramatic return. While recovering, she agrees he made the right call, upholding the authority she gave him. But she is preoccupied, replaying her fight with the powerful archer, and she confesses that even for her, there is no clear path to victory against their new enemy. They both agree on a harsh reality: they are not strong enough. He lays out the next step. Once the UK supplies are loaded, she will take the shield generator and leave. He confirms his plan to stay behind, convinced the terrorists will strike again. Then he shocks her by declaring his true intention: to conquer Bratsk's Grade 1 rift, the refrigerator. And he's not going alone, he's bringing Han Sang-ah with him. Refusing to be left behind, the commander declares she'll stay to support them, knowing the true danger of a Grade 1 rift. She challenges him, daring him to maintain his bravado after facing that horror. At a private estate, he assures a worried Han Sang-ah that their training is part of the mission. She presents him with a bucket of elixirs, a rare commodity she procured for his training. But his first training tool is dozens of egg cartons. He demonstrates, channeling a stream of mana into a delicate, ordinary egg. When cracked, the result is revealed. The mana-infused egg was perfectly scrambled inside its unbroken shell. Sang-ah instantly realizes the purpose: an exercise in mastering fine mana manipulation. He then asks her to recall the lesson from their very first training session, because true training, he says, always begins with real combat, as Lee Se-yoon appears, ready for a fight. Sang-ah realizes with horror her training is a 2-on-1 battle against the world's 10th-ranked hunter. Meanwhile, in a dark hidden laboratory, a disturbing tune is hummed. The source is the defeated terrorist, Kim Ji-hyun, now heavily restrained on a medical slab. A new face appears. The scientist, Dr. Seo Jun-woo, greets his conscious captive. The doctor jokes that he brought the near-dead man here simply to save him. But he holds all the power, revealing his captive can't even breathe without a mana respirator. He then reveals his true purpose. A new experiment has succeeded, and he has a proposition. With a sinister smile, Dr. Seo leans in and offers the powerless terrorist a chance at revenge.